U.S. Capitol recently, you may have overlooked an understated yet significant architectural feature. The 150-acre Capitol Hill campus, where, of course, the Capitol building is and the Senate and House buildings are, is ringed with about 7,000 waist-high steel posts or security bollards. The bollards blend well with their surroundings, but their real purpose is security. Installed shortly after 9/11, they can stop an 8-ton truck from plowing into them at 50 miles per hour. And following 9/11, many U.S. cities quickly installed security bollards and other physical barriers at major landmarks and Capitol buildings. Some barriers deemed excessive were later removed, but recent vehicle-related attacks across Europe and in the U.S., notably New York City, have prompted resurgence. Mark, what does this have to do with anything? You're securing your facilities, you're securing your towns, you're securing your museums, you're securing your monuments. Can't we secure the border for the sake of the American people? And look at this. Another big boost for Capitol Hill security spending. This is from last June. A year after baseball shooting, Capitol Police keeps growing and cyber attack worries intensify. At a time when steady, significant growth for the Capitol Police looks sure to continue. Members of Congress are confessing heightened concern they'll never be altogether shielded from threats both old-fashioned and high-tech, no matter where they are. But how about the rest of the people? The Senate and the House passed bills allocating more than $450 million for the congressional force in the coming year. Now think about this. $450 million for Capitol Police, for Congress. We're talking about $5.7 billion for security barriers along a southern border that's well over 1,000 miles, closer to 2,000 miles. And they're trying to protect another 700 to 900 miles. You can see how little that money is in context. The bulk of the latest supplement would pay for hiring 6 dozen additional cops and a score more civilian personnel, continuing plans to grow the force, that is the Capitol Police Force, 20% in the final 5 years of this decade. But at more than 2,300 sworn officers now, Capitol Police is already bigger than the departments, that is the police departments, in San Francisco or San Antonio, and would rank 12th on the roster of the nation's biggest municipal forces. In other words, when it comes to protecting themselves, members of Congress, the sky's the limit. They'll spend anything, and they'll do it immediately and on a bipartisan basis. When it comes to protecting the country, our southern border, that's not to say everybody who comes through is a criminal or a terrorist, any more than it's to say anybody who visits the Capitol is a criminal or terrorist. They're trying to protect themselves from maybe 6 terrorists who try to come in. Well, you know what? Why don't we try and protect the country from terrorists, criminals, and others who try to come in? Not to mention the economic impact it has, and quite frankly, the cultural impact it has on our country when people refuse to assimilate, and when a country, through its corporations and government, doesn't want people to assimilate. Why? Because balkanization keeps Democrats in power. It keeps media getting ratings with identity politics. Now, there are politicians, of course, out there who like to build walls for themselves around their own homes. That's not to say they can keep out all predators. But, you know, when you're a predator and you see a house without a wall and you see a house with a wall, you tend to go for the house that doesn't have a wall. In other words, you tend to go to the house where the entry, where the break-in is likely a lot easier. And when there's a wall, it's a lot harder. But at least the people who live inside the wall, they think it's a deterrent, right? They don't think, hey, you know what? This is 5th century, no, 4th century technology. Anybody can just use a ladder and climb it and jump over. What's the point of having a wall? A wall is immoral. A wall is immoral? An inanimate object is immoral? Well, there you go. So says Nancy Pelosi, who supports partial birth abortion and full funding for Planned Parenthood as they harvest the organs of babies. But that's a whole other story. Anyway, so it's immoral to have a wall unless, of course, you're a very wealthy Democrat, politician or former politician. Then it's moral. Let's look at this. Benny Johnson from the Daily Caller attempts to find out Can I see this 10-foot wall outside the Obama home in a spiffy area of Washington, D.C.? Let's take a look. Go ahead.
Is there a 10-foot wall in front of Obama's house? I don't know, because there are like 7 walls preventing me from even finding out. So we are here right outside of the, not really outside of the Obama's house, actually, at the road where Obama lives is completely blocked off. Both sides of the road is blocked off, which is very...
That's so immoral and un-American. Go.
Very interesting. You can't even drive up to the front of the house. We're going to see if we can walk up to the front of the house, but there's a sign over here that says no walking, and there's a police car, and there's a barricade. So we were trying to show you if there's a wall outside of Obama's house, trying to fact check that. But I'm wondering if we could even get past this wall. It's like a very big barricade and a an armed officer. We can't even tell you if there's a tall wall in front of his house. I mean, we can show you some recent photos, which we'll play in the video right now, and I'm 6 foot tall. The recent photos will show a security gate, it'll show guards, it'll show Secret Service outside of the house, but FedEx can come through. Hey, look at that. You can't even get to the front of Obama's house to see how big the gate is, even though you can sort of see it from the street here. We have fencing, like what looks like
That's
3
quite a
to 4
neighborhood. Did you see the embassy for Afghanistan? Go ahead.
layers of fencing, some of it iron, some of it concrete. And then you have...
Wait a minute, iron and concrete? That's so 4th and 5th century. Go ahead.
Multiple other concrete barriers going down the street here. That's similar to what we saw on the other side. So aside from that, you have orange cones, and then you have, again, God bless them, our United States Secret Service here, who is going to control who goes in and out of the street. And boy, do they have it blocked off well. We're trying to simply demonstrate that if you want to protect your family and you want to protect the things that are dear to you, then security and walls do work. And the former president has provided those things, and all American families should feel that secure as well inside of their own country. Protect the things that you value.
No, but we're the plebes, you see. We're just the rabble. And we need to protect our leaders, our former leaders, our members of Congress, Hollywood, actors and actresses. We need to protect our mayors, our city council. But when it comes to ranchers and farmers, or when it comes to people in our inner cities who are confronting individuals, they don't know where they're from and so forth, that, whatever, that doesn't matter. What are you, a white supremacist? So I would have to ask that question of all these politicians with their walls. Are they white supremacists? Are they racists? What's the problem with their 4th and 5th century technology? All you need is a 10-foot ladder. You could jump the fence, right? It's so disgusting that we even have to go here, but we do. Let's take a look at the actual Obama wall. Now, there's one, and that little thing there, that's where the Secret Service hang out. Next one. There we go again. Yeah, man of the people. Let's take a look at, while we're having fun, at the Clinton property. They have a wall too. Oh, excuse me, it's a fence. That looks pretty high, 10 feet high. Yeah, so all you need is a 11-foot ladder. So says Stempy Hoyer. Let's take another photo, take another look. There you have the whole compound surrounded by fences because they may believe in sanctuary cities, but they don't believe in a sanctuary homestead. No walls. Illegals are free to travel around their property. Criminal illegals are free to travel on their property. They won't call in any federal officials and so forth. So they don't want the protection for the nation that they want for themselves. And what that means is they don't want the protection for the people of the nation that they demand for themselves. It's pretty outrageous. Now let's see if Nancy Pelosi has an immoral wall. She and her husband are worth tens of millions of dollars. Now, this is a vineyard they have. They have multiple properties. This is a vineyard that they have. You notice they have a beautiful stone wall. It is nice. And they have gates out front. Now, anyone can jump the wall. Anyone can jump that wall. So why does she have a wall? Well, she wants to make it at least psychologically clear. This is private property. You're not allowed to come here. More wall. They got wall all around their vineyard. By the way, it's also non-union. Their vineyard workers are non-union. Just thought I would point that out. So she has a wall, Obama has a wall, Clinton has a wall, but we don't get a wall because it's immoral. That looks like an immoral stone wall to me. Isn't that immoral to you? I wonder if she's a white supremacist. Do you think she's a white supremacist? At least when it comes to the vineyard, I think she is. Now let's